Muchachos y muchachas, what's going on, guys? Okay, so I wanted to make a follow-up video from yesterday's, and if you have not seen that video, you do want to go watch it. By the way, it did get a little ding today, which means there's some layers you got to go through to watch the video because they said it's inappropriate. With that being said, please be sure to share it to your Telegram channels, Telegram groups, group me's, your Facebook groups, wherever you share information, disseminate information, please share it organically because that's what I'm really counting on now. Okay, so we've been talking about this fashion photography collective by the name of 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘢𝘬𝘪. This is a Ukrainian-based fashion photography collective in which their subjects of utilization are young people, like children. Yeah. And they are in scenarios that are very inappropriate and they seem criminal, if anything, borderline criminal. Now, once again, we overviewed all of that yesterday. So please, once again, if you haven't seen that video, go watch that before you watch this one, because today what I want to overview are the magazines and fashion brands that are directly associated with this fashion photography collective and why it's so shocking. And we went over one of them yesterday, which was Vogue. Yes, the Vogue associates themselves with this group. So I wanted to kind of overview that and some concerning things. With that being said, stay right there, hold on to your butts, secure your wigs. We're going to go through it. Really quick, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, Safe Power Bills. Now, there is a device right now as I speak that is connected to my outlet, and it is saving me money on my power bill. As you all have experienced with extreme temperatures in summer, extreme temperatures in winter, our power bills are skyrocketing alongside with all of the other inflated prices and inflation reasons. But this little device is helping me save money, and it will help you save money too, because it stabilizes your electrical current and it rids of all the dirty electricity, excess electricity that you don't need to use. You can get it at safepowerbills.com. That's safepowerbills.com. Okay, so like I said yesterday, we went through this entire scandal with this Ukrainian-based fashion collective called 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘢𝘬𝘪. They are a photography trio, and they admitted themselves that they focus on the youth, and they definitely do, right? You go to their Instagram profile today and you will see that they are definitely not shy about the way that they have intended their art direction to be. So yesterday we went through the most shocking but basic content to give you the understanding of why this is so bad. And I mentioned some of the collaborations that should be of concern that are mammoths in the fashion industry. And what we talked about specifically was Vogue. So, and I wanted to actually focus in on some other magazines that they were collaborating with, as well as some fashion brands, okay, and why some of these fashion brands are so concerning. Okay, so we'll start off with Vogue. So yesterday we'll just recap that Vogue has this branch of their, I guess, company or their entity, whatever, and Vogue has this contest called like Photo Vogue or something like that. I apologize. But they basically select artists, photographers to, pretty much reside within like the top 100 artists, for a year. It's like an annual thing, right? And so 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘬𝘪, as public as they are with all of their work, right? You guys, like, it is December, we're at the tail end of the year. So December 30th, 2022, you guys can go to their Instagram account right now at this very moment and go see their work, right? They're not shy about it. They have pretty much put up all these young people up there with very inappropriate scenes, and anybody can like pretty much gather some sort of consensus about what they lean into. So Vogue could do that as well, right? So It's crazy to me that Vogue would straight up choose this collective as one of the top 100 artists in the entire world out of 30,000 pieces of entries, and amongst many I think it was like thousands of artists across the world, right? So this is what they choose as one of their top 100. But also Vogue has inadvertently worked with 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘢𝘀. You can see a screenshot right here where you can see that they have worked with them on a accessory shoot. There are some other works that I wanted to concentrate on. Dazed Digital is another magazine. It's like an online magazine. Now, I'm just going to, I can't post the, I can't even post the image with it blocked out, because yesterday I posted images with them blocked out and I still got dinged for it. So I'm just going to post the headline here where it says, these photos capture pre-war life for young Ukrainians. And it says, photography collective 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘬𝘀 has been spent years documenting the youth of Kiev. As the war wages on, they have their hopes and fears for the future. Come on, dude. Like of all things, like, you have your fears. You should be fearful of something else. Truly. Like, this is crazy to me that they have fears and all these things, and that this digital fashion magazine is willing to like give them an interview and like, oh, like, let's take a look at what their fears are, and like, let's talk about how you utilize children in your photo shoots in very inappropriate ways. Like, this is crazy to me. It's so nonchalant in the fashion world. And so that's one publication that featured 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘢𝘀. Another one is a Numero headline in which it has two boys on their headline, right? And I don't speak French. I think this is French. It is French. I'm going to give you the rough Google translation. Of course, Google, please keep in mind, has sometimes dialect issues. So if you speak French, please comment in the comment section below and translate this for me. But it says, from the Google English translation, it says, the corrupt innocence of the Ukrainian youth under the eye of the 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘬𝘀 collective, right? So what does that tell you, right? Like the corrupt innocence, like, they know that these kids are innocent. They know that their innocence has been corrupted, that this had to, and like, when you corrupt something, it has to come out of influence. It has to come out of indoctrination. Like, there's a process to corruption. It's not just like, so, I mean, I guess you can be born corrupt, but when you're claiming corruption in a collective of children, there has to be something at someone's direction, right? So it has to come from the top down, right? So like just even dissecting that in itself seems a bit sinister and nefarious. But here they are, fashion publication Numero, just admitting it out in the open, innocence being pretty much like, derailed, which, by the way, there's a Bible verse that goes with that, right? Like, for whoever would derail one of these young ones ought to tie a millstone around their neck and drown themselves out in the sea. So I'm just like, from my memory, that's what I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, I mean, biblical, right? Sedition Magazine is another one. Now, Sedition Magazine, once again, is just another alternative fashion, and I find it interesting that a lot of these magazines like are alternative fashion magazines, right? So to me, like, it feels like they're a bit more unregulated. There are less eyes on these fashion magazines, which cues me for like more investigation in that direction. Because, if you have someone like Vogue or Harper's Bazaar or Elle or Marie Claire, like on the bookshelf, the book stands, right, in the grocery store, things like that, like even here in 2022, I would expect the same for these type of publications. Like, you got to make sure that they're not running some sort of CSAM in their books, right? Which brings my point. So Sedition Magazine, they actually hosted the image of the boy with the pink princess dress, princess crown, has a rifle in his hand. Now this is something, once again, that I cannot show you fully. I'm just going to show you a partial of it. But because of the reasons that, on this platform. And this came out of an issue 4 in 2021, in which Playboi Carti was the cover of this magazine. Now I want to bring this to your attention because this is the beginning of, well, actually, I named some concerns yesterday because there were some exhibitions that actually toured in New York and in Seattle. And so what I have wondering for myself, sorry, there's like this one hair that just keeps like falling on the side. It's getting on my nerves. So the thing that really has me questioning is like, what kind of laws should we be concerned about, right? Because if they brought this collection, right? Okay, it's filmed and shot in Ukraine. Let's just say that's where it was filmed and shot. But they still brought it to the United States, right? Where we have laws. We are a nation of laws. What does that mean now, right? What does that possibly mean for us here in the United States? What are some things that mean for them bringing that stuff here in the United States, right? Okay. So now Sedition Magazine is a Los Angeles-based magazine. So what does this mean for the type of content, right, that was featured in that magazine? Now, the thing is, the magazine is about $40 to purchase, and so I have not seen the insides of the magazine or everything that was featured, but for sure what was featured is that little boy, which just seems, and he is fully clothed, right? He's clothed in a princess dress, but it definitely has me concerned that they probably could have shared other images. I just don't know that, right? Another magazine, 𝘶𝘶 magazine. Now, 𝘶𝘶 can be sold in the United States. As you can see here, you can buy a 1-year subscription, which is $48. And 𝘶𝘶 magazine actually featured, little boys, a little girl, things like this. Now these are things that I cannot show you. If you want to see this, go to my Twitter account. You guys can go watch the feed. But these are things that I'm talking about. Like, these things are printed out in a magazine, an actual glossy bound magazine called 𝘶𝘶, right? 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘀 Kyiv themselves seems to have their own magazine. Like, they have their own magazine, which also arises a lot more concerns, right? Like, how are they? Who are their public or their publishers, right? Who is printing and binding these magazines? Who is distributing these magazines, right? Are they still in circulation? What kind of, and the ultimate question, what kind of content are in these magazines? And then Marie Claire, who featured, it was featuring 619 Studio, which is a clothing brand, who utilized 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘀 Kyiv, who is the photography collective, as the photographer. This photo was featured in Marie Claire, which then also arises more questions like, what goes into the vetting process for these fashion publications to select and not select, select and decline certain works, right? Like, do they have a certain vetting process? I mean, they're so quick to have, like, a lot of these fashion publications are on the cancel culture bandwagon, right? You saw them do it with Kanye West when he first spoke out, for instance, right? Vogue did that. They canceled him, said they're never going to work with him, things like this, right? So they've been on such a, I guess I'm gonna say they're more in a progressive mindset here. And so they are quick to vet any other person for wrongthink. But when it comes to things like this, where it's like, hey, this fashion collective could possibly be connected to nefarious actions and things like this, like, they don't check twice, but they'll check twice for everything else. Okay. I want to remind you all that before we go into like the collaborations with fashion brands, I want to remind you that a lot of the models, like, if you go, please use discretion if you do decide to go to these accounts and gander at these posts yourself. for investigative needs. What I will say is that some of these models, and I said this yesterday, I cannot confirm or deny whether or not they're of age or not. A lot of them seem to be very obvious, right? It doesn't seem like you have to use a lot of critical thinking skills to see that they are very, very, they're pretty young, right? I think that's something that we can all agree on. And with that being said, I think that's enough. I think 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘊𝘏, by just initially being a brand that by their own words admit that they focus on the youth and the sensual side of human nature put together, the fact that they admit that would be enough for any brand to say, no, thank you. For any magazine to say, no, thanks, I'm good, right? Anybody can look at their open portfolio on many social media sites and say no, okay? So with that being said, whether or not the models in these brands are of age or not, it is enough for a brand to look at the collective and say, oh, you know what? I'm not into your work. I don't want to be associated with you, right? So this is why I'm pointing out the brands that work with them. Now, this is one called TTS-WTRS, which is kind of like a underclothing type of brand, I guess you could say. Like, they have a lot of leotards, a lot of underoos, like things like this, right? If you go to their Instagram account, which, by the way, I will never call for harassment, berating, stalking, abuse, violence, anything like that. So please heed my warning and heed my disclosure that is not what I am calling for. This is solely for the safety of children, which is why I am arising these concerns. But this brand seems to have used girls that don't seem, in my personal opinion, they don't seem of age. They just, like, some of these look, some of them are women that are models, like some of them are women, but some of these just seem to be very, very young. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to leave it at that. All right. 𝘏𝘶 is another brand in which this is like an accessory designer that utilizes, inanimate objects like radios and heaters, right? Space heaters or whatever, radiators. They just make these like purses and accessories out of imprinted objects, but also they do other objects like wings and like organs like hearts and stuff like that. They do shape them after that. Now, there were a few pictures that some of the girls that were utilized in their photo shoots did seem very, very young. Now, once again, I just have to keep repeating this. I don't know. I don't, because I don't know. I don't have any model releases or, any of these models coming forward or anything like that. I don't know whether they are of age or not. But like I stated in my first point, because they, in their other works that they are featuring and showcasing on their social media, do blatantly feature children in settings that are not correct, that would be enough for me, whether or not I'm using someone of age or not in my photo shoots, to say, no, that's wrong, right? Okay. So with that being said, there is a brand that is based here in the United States in Los Angeles called Skim Milk. Now, Skim Milk, look, their Instagram feed, I'm just going to say, it ain't my jam. It looks weird. The people that are promoting the products, not saying that they're all questionable, definitely not. But I'm just going to say, like, the entire collective, the collage of mixed media that they bring together on their Instagram feed just gives me weird vibes. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not accusing nobody of doing nothing. I'm just saying it gives me weird vibes. Okay. But what I will comment on is that they clearly do tend to lean towards the very young people for their fashion campaign shoots. Okay. But when you look at the clothing, you'll see that like a lot of this clothing is very like, there's themes to it. There's themes to it that are not appropriate for children. Okay, these are things like, if you're an adult, you're into this, you want to express this, you want to wear a t-shirt about it, like, okay, but if like, this is not a kid's clothing brand. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, this is not a kid's clothing brand. This is an adult clothing brand, an adult t-shirt brand. Okay, and they have adult themes on these t-shirts. So why do you want kids wearing some of these t-shirts? Like, to me, that's weird. Okay, so anyway, that's pretty much as I'm going to go through today. Once again, yes, there's, I know that there's so much that I can show and can't show now, but I wanted to just make commentary on that. Let me know, guys, have you seen the things that I'm talking about on this video via their social media profiles, especially their Instagram? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for your support. I could not do this without you. Please be sure, actually, I'm going to actually plug in my nonprofit. We have been working tirelessly for an entire year to research, to put things together, to compile. We will be launching boots on the ground actions in the coming up year. Please be sure to go to 𝘏𝘓𝑡raffickingalliance.com. I do have social media pages. I have a Twitter and a Instagram account. So Counter Traffic on Twitter and Counter Trafficking Alliance on Instagram. So there are volunteer opportunities, and there's definitely donation opportunities, because what we will be doing is we will be crowdfunding for on the ground, boots on the ground ministries and organizations that either do operations, rescue, extraction operations, or we can directly fund their needs like gas, clothing, hotel booking stays as soon as they get rescued, right? We want to be a immediate resource for them, but in order to do that, we need to be able to crowdfund and have a reservoir for that. And we definitely do have organizations right now that we're working with that have those current needs as we speak. So with that being said, thank you all so much for all of your support. Thank you for your just like love and attention to important topics that we absolutely should not shut up about. I appreciate you, and I will see you guys next year. Have a happy new year. I love you guys so much. Bye-bye.